The adrenaline rush is just incredible this morning. I mean, it's I'm getting flashbacks from last year, but it's just amazing. I probably could do this 100 times, and I mean, still have the goosebumps and the whole 9 yards. It's just incredible. Man, I just can't wait to get out there and get started on these guys this morning. And you know, you make it to this point, you just hope that it's your day and it's your time. And you know, I just hope that today's that day.
Well, welcome. It's the 4th stop of the year here on the Walmart FLW Tour in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Tommy Sanders, and this is one of our most important events of the year, the $1 Million Walmart Open. We started, as we always do, fishing 3 days ago with almost 350 anglers. We're down to an impressive 5 who will fish for the $200,000 first prize today, and we're in an impressive place as well. Beaver Lake here in Northwest Arkansas has so much pro fishing history, a guy who knows all about it, and the guy with the best view of it right now is our partner, Jerry McInnes. What are we going to be seeing on this lake today, Jerry?
Well, Tommy, as you can imagine, this is an awesome sight up here on Beaver Lake, which is one of a chain of lakes across northern Arkansas and southern Missouri on the White River. And boy, what an all-star lineup we have for you today. And Tommy will talk to you about that in just a moment. But the guys are going, and they're taking off right now. They're going in a variety of different places. And Dan Moorhead, Carl Sweebeck are fishing pretty close to home. Rick Clunn, and you've heard that name before. Clunn is the only one taking a right-hand turn, and he went right under our helicopter just now. He's fishing up the river towards War Eagle. Now Gary Klein and Tom Mann Jr. have a long haul ahead of them, going all the way to the dam. Matter of fact, we're zeroed in on Tom Mann. And Tom, what is the attraction for heading so far south?
Well, I always like to target the deep, clear end of the lake during the pre-spawns, as you know, like we've had here in the past week. Now, what's happened over this week, a lot of the fish have started to move shallow. I've been fishing deep all week long for the spotted bass and the smallmouth bass. But what I found out yesterday, Jerry, is a lot of the largemouth are starting to move up, so I really feel real good about that.
Tom, is this similar to what you're used to fishing back at home?
It's almost identical to Lake Lanier where I live. You know, it has a lot of spotted bass, a large spotted bass population, and you know, that's always good when you're in a tough conditions like we've had when the bite's real slow. You can always make those spotted bass bites, so that's kind of what I've been doing.
I guess it goes without saying that the water down there is extremely clear.
Jerry, I can see the bottom very easily, 15 feet deep, some places 20 feet deep.
Thank you, guys. In addition to Tom Mann Jr. there, our lineup includes Dan Moorhead from Paducah, Kentucky, one of the sport's most consistent anglers over the past 5 or 6 years. 2 very celebrated veterans, Rick Clunn, the winningest bass angler of all time, who's done it all in this sport. You could also say that about Gary Klein from Weatherford, Texas, who last outing in South Carolina made the top 5. Last year, he won $100,000 in Memphis on the Mississippi River. Rounding out the top 5, Carl Sweebeck, Lake Sam Rayburn, Texas, a young man just getting his career started, but with a lot of success, especially here on this lake, and a lot of people are wondering how he's going to be fishing it today. Let's talk to him now, Jerry.
Okay, Tommy, well, Carl is Mr. Wacky Worm, and Carl, tell us about it, man. You seem excited today.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm just tickled to death, Jerry. This is just the most exciting thing. You just can't get enough of this. And yes, I'm throwing a wacky worm. I'm trying to cover a lot of water, and I tell you, just real intense right now, ready to get that first bite. And I think once we get that first one in the boat, we'll settle down a little bit and hopefully have a good day.
Well, you're talking about covering lots of water, but hey, a wacky worm is a real slow-moving technique.
You're exactly right. It's a real fine line. I mean, you know, you really want to work this bait slow, but at the same time, I mean, you don't want to work it from the bank to the boat. I'm hitting an area that I'll cast out. I'll work the bait about 7 or 8 feet away from the bank. If I don't get bit, I reel it up real quick and head to the next target. So I'm covering a lot of water, but I'm using a very subtle, slow bait to do that.
Well, Carl, you're not really sight fishing then, are you?
I am a little bit. As I'm going down these banks pretty rapid, I'm kind of keeping my eyes open and looking. And yesterday I found 2 back in this little pocket. We're going to try to catch them on the wacky worm this morning. But, you know, regardless, I do have a couple of fish on the beds back here that I think will be worth catching in this tournament. I think they'll help out a bunch. Now, whether we can get them to bite or not may be a different story, but we're going to give it our best.
And it's a spot.
Good job.
I didn't think he's a keeper as largemouth. I'm just grateful it's a spot. Not very big, but get us started.
This is the Walmart FLW Tour brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By BF Goodrich. Take control. By the Visa $2 Million Challenge. For information, log on to www.flwtour.com. And by Citgo. You know me.
And Tommy, so far, all we've talked about is clear water and looking at the fish that you cast at. But here's one fisherman, Rick Clunn, who's in off-color water, burning up the banks with a crankbait.
Just chunking and grinding. That's all it is. It's very basic. You know, it's just putting a shallow crankbait in, you know, in that 1 to 5 foot zone and trying to keep it there as long as you can during the day. That's the advantage of fishing up the river. Down the lake, the zone of activity is 1 to 20, and up here it's compressed to 1 to 5. So everything's, you know, you don't have as big a zone you have to fish to keep your bait where you can catch a fish.
I'm not sure I understand what he meant about the zone of activity is compressed where he is, Jerry.
Well, he's talking about the fish are more likely to be in from 1 to 5 or 6 feet of water up there in that kind of water. And hopefully, in Ricky's case, they are not going to be giant crappie.
That's a good one.
And down the lake, of course, the clear water means that they can be a lot deeper. So he thinks his chances of working really hard in a compressed area, as he talks about, will do a lot better for him. You and I would love to catch a string of crappie that big.
There's a lot of people who want a replay of that. I'm sure I wish we had time for it.
And how many times does a fisherman get to watch and listen to Rick Clunn and Gary Klein back to back?
Time of year, though, when they start getting in the spawning mode, you know, they'll school like that and start putting the weight on before they go on the beds.
See, the first day I fished, all those little fish were on this bank like this, and you had to weed through them to finally catch a keeper. The second 2 days, little fish disappeared. You know, and when you catch one, you catch a little one every once in a while. Usually when you catch one, it'd be, you know, a keeper. A lot of times, you know, when you get in an area and you work it hard, I've seen it happen when you deplete all the little ones, then you'll get the big ones to have a better opportunity to bite. The little ones won't be there to beat them to it.
As expected, Rick's got a following there, and I wouldn't be surprised if it included a lot of the pros that have been fishing in this tournament.
Yeah, and you know, I wish that we could explain more how Rick fishes a crankbait, because there's a lot to it. I mean, it's just not a case of throwing that bait out and reeling back the boat. He feels it every inch of the way, and he has it bumping off of things and running into stuff, and all the time feeling exactly what it's doing, knowing exactly how it's going to react.
Try the old quick and easy Palomar knot. It's foolproof.
Gary Klein is preparing for a good day, and so should we. Be right back. It's the $1 million Walmart Open, part of the FLW Tour, and we're in a place with a lot of $1 million views. This is beautiful Beaver Lake, the first in a chain of lakes on the White River as it flows out of the southernmost part of the Ozarks. A really gorgeous place with lots of deep, clear water and perfect for a tournament like this.
Boy, lots of beautiful bluffs and, like you say, deep banks, deep water. But Right now, these bass are looking for little pockets with some sand and pea gravel in where they can very easily fan out a nest and make little bass by the thousands. Tom Mann, who's pretty close to the dam that you just saw there a minute ago, has spotted a fish, and it's very easy to do in the water. And he's fishing, and it looks like he has not only spotted him, Tommy, he has boated him.
It is what they call a spot, right?
A little spotted bass, and the spots only have to be 12 inches long. Largemouth have to be 15.
Number 2.
She's about a 3.5 pounder. She just is not interested at all. And I'm not going to sit here and waste my morning. We've got some high winds coming in today, which makes it extremely hard to throw this wacky worm. And I don't want to sit here and miss the best part of the day on a fish that I'm not certain if I can catch.
Carl Swebeck sight fishing over to Gary Klein, who's sight fishing as well.
And Carl is talking about going from one fish to another, and of course Gary will too, and all these sight fishermen are into that. Tommy, do you realize how difficult it is to leave a fish that you can see?
Oh, this has got to be the toughest mentally kind of fishing there can be.
Yeah, especially, you know, if they look over there and they see a 2.5 to 5 pounder like Carl did there a moment ago. And this is probably not a sight fish right here. It's a fish that he's caught on his wacky worm. But boy, when you see a good fish, though, it's very, very difficult to leave it. But you better, or at least you better know what time to spend on that and what time to pick up and move.
Need to make a plan and stick to it, I guess. Now, here's the guy who's not seeing his fish today, Rick Plunn. But boy, he's catching. That first fish was a very nice one. We'll see how this one turns out.
I hooked him.
And you know, you might wonder how he knows that was foul hook. Well, he probably saw that one. But a fish really fights you completely differently when it's foul hook. And incidentally, you know, try to understand this. You can accidentally foul hook a fish with a crankbait that you can't see, and it's legal. And that fish came up there and swatted at that bait. He just happened to miss it, and as he turned, the bait hit his body, and he caught him. Now, if you were sight fishing and accidentally hooked one, you have to turn it loose. That's not right. That's against the rules. So I hope everybody understands, Tommy. What Rick did there was great. Swebeck, Tom Mann, Gary Klein, they better not foul hook.
That's the advantage of sharp hooks right there.
That's what he says. It's the advantage of sharp hooks. So there's a good lesson for you.
We're going to try to liven this up now. We got to do something.
Can we get an amen?
Yeah. Man, anybody know any good short jokes? Let's get them rolling. That'll get me fired up, ready to go. There he is. Good one. Oh, no. No.
Carl Swebeck from Lake Sam Rayburn, Texas, starting to get a little something going here. Boating another fish here. Now, these guys are basically fishing for 2 species, really, or subspecies of largemouth bass. The regular largemouth, or the black bass as it's known, and the spotted bass. Now, the spotted bass only have to be 12 inches long. The blacks, or the regular largemouth, have to be 15 inches in order to be keepers. That one will keep.
Okay, we need lots of karma. Let's get it started, okay? Hey, this is one anyway. We're looking for 4 more. We do got 3, but they're little. Whew, man. Well, I tell you, it'll make you, just when you think that you're in deep trouble, you get your second wind. You're ready to go out and get after it, so.
Here's our first look at the scoreboard. Where's Dan Moorhead? Well, Dan Moorhead is our X-Man today. He's our unknown factor. We're not going to check in with his progress until the weigh-in. And Dan, you're a guy who's expecting some big changes in your life soon.
Well, in about a little over a month, we're going to have our first child.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 months along right at this time?
Right at 8 months, yeah. She went to the doctor's appointment yesterday afternoon, or she'd have been here yesterday.
Well, but she is scheduled to show up here today along with your mom and dad, right?
Yeah, I think probably against my better judgment. I hate for her to travel. I know it's hard on her at 8 months, but yeah, she's on the way, if not already there.
Yeah, well, we've been kind of looking around for her, but we've got a loaded fun zone here, but no moorhead spotted so far.
Jerry, you won't miss her.
All right. Good deal.
Hey, Dan, let me ask you something. I know that I think that anyone who's in the top 5 here has done a lot of changing this week. As far as your style of fishing, your patterns, your thinking, just been lots of changes. How long does it take you to get unlocked from a pattern of fishing and move on to something else?
You're exactly right. It's been a different tournament day by day, and the things that got you where you were don't necessarily work. So,
let me ask you this: 6-8 days ago, how were you fishing, and in what depth of water?
Well, 6 to 8 days ago, I was fishing a lot of Carolina rigs. I was fishing little finesse head jig worms. I was fishing relatively deep. I was fishing anywhere from 20 to 30, 35 foot deep.
Wow.
At the time, I wasn't catching many largemouth. We had one day during practice, and then the first day of competition that we had cloud cover and wind, and anytime you're on a clear body of water like that, that makes life a little easier. And I did well on largemouth, relatively shallow.
Okay, well, then what was happening 4 days ago?
Well, let's see. 4 days ago, I guess, would be the first day of the competition. I caught a limit of fish by about 8:30, and I caught them on a little jig and a crankbait. I was fishing shallow. The largemouth, I had 5 largemouth, and they seemed to be that they were about 8 foot deep. And then, of course, the second day of the tournament was a 180. Bright blue skies, and it slicked off and calm, and I went back to my little finesse worm and caught them 20 to 25 foot deep again.
Well, and I guess the point here is, Danny, anybody that makes it for 5 days is somebody who can change pretty quickly. They can really get a feeling that, hey, this ain't right. I gotta make an adjustment here.
Well, I agree. I think also another key factor is everybody that's been doing well has been fortunate and had one good quality, largemouth bite a day.
That's right.
And I think that's going to be critical even today.
Well, Dan, thank you so much, and we'll see you at the weigh-in.
I'll be there.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
We forgot to ask him how he was doing, but wait a minute.
No, we don't.
He's got a big X on his back.
Dan is the X-man. He's the unknown factor today. We're not allowed to ask him what his cameraman can barely look through the camera.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be revealed to us at the weigh-in.
His cameraman can barely look through the...
That's right. He can just kind of glance at him.
That's great.
All right, back over for a look at Rick Clunn again, who is putting on a serious fishing demonstration.
And we're all able to watch him.
Yes, we can all watch. All of us can watch this action. But I wish I knew more about what he was doing, though, because it's hard to just watch and tell what exactly he's doing.
I'll tell you one thing, and we'll get to watch him a little bit more, I bet, later on. But one thing he's doing that's real important is he's parallel casting. He's not casting to the bank. He's casting down the bank. He's already told us he knows what depth those fish are in, so he's trying to keep a bait in that depth just as much as he possibly can.
I got one to bite. Can you believe that?
Did we segue over into Gary Klein?
Gary Klein, who's sight fishing, and successfully now. It's starting to work.
Working a little bit better for him. He seems to be struggling a little. Gary Klein's in every top 5 we have, isn't he?
Yeah, Gary Klein. And, of course, this one includes Rick Clunn and guys like Carl Sweebeck. Carl, does this intimidate you?
It really doesn't. I would be wrong to say that, man, I really idolize those guys. I've got a tremendous amount of respect for them. I've been following them ever since I was a little kid. I know that they're just tremendous fishermen. They've got all the mechanics, all the mental, the mindset. They just prepare for these tournaments, and they go in it with the intention to win them. And so I really and truly, they really don't intimidate me so much. I'm just happy and pleased to be involved with them. I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Tom Mann Jr. from Buford, Georgia. This is the second time the last calendar year that he has been very close to the big prize in one of these tournaments.
Both times, it's kind of strange, both times he was fishing for spotted bass.
Yeah, spotted bass, part of the equation.
Make him or break him.
Lake Lanier and here at Beaver Lake.
And everybody's fishing with plastics now, with the exception of Ricky Clun, who's throwing that crankbait. But Sweetback's throwing a wacky worm. They're throwing little tubes. Tom Mann Jr. is throwing a little finesse worm, probably about 6 inches long. A green one with an 1/8 ounce head, or maybe even a 1/4 ounce head.
I caught this one. There's a 5-pounder swimming out with it.
The Walmart Open here on the FLW Tour is brought to you by Black & Decker Firestorm, high-performance cordless tools built by Black & Decker. By Eagle Electronics, successful fishing made simple. By Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. And by Energizer, another bright idea from Energizer.
And we've talked a lot today about looking these fish right in the eye as you try to catch them, and here's a good example.
It's a good shot of one there.
This is probably in about 1.5 feet of water, and as he moves back over to his right now, he's going to get on his bed. Look how clean the bottom got. Now he's right over the bed, and when a fisherman looks out there, his eyes just spot those little clean pockets. And of course, here's a fish that Sweetback is catching. That probably is not a sight fish, but that wacky worm will catch him away from the bait a little bit.
Well, I don't know if that's that's a spot. Yeah, that's a spot. He's a little better one, a little better spot. That's so neat when you can see those guys. You know, that fish was just that deep under the water, watched him swim up and eat that thing. So, okay. That's 4. Let's get number 5. Oh, there's one. It could be the 5th one anyway if it's a spot. All right. A little better spot, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's a limit. So we can now just go for broke, heck.
Let's take a quick moment here to look at the statistics on the Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year race for 2000. And man, it has been all Clark Winland. Guy from Cedar Park, Texas, has been steamrolling this field. Randy Howell, Stephen Browning, Dion Hibden, and Tommy Biffle are chasing. But boy, have they got a lot of ground to make up. Now, one fellow who's not been able to participate in the race so far this year, one of the legends, Guido Hibden, been battling a few health problems, but he is back, and it's great to have him in the mix again.
We were deer hunting and spending a lot of time together there back in November, and he noticed that just us sitting around talking and shooting the breeze, you know, he'd get a little hoarse every now and then. And
it was cancer. It wasn't the boys' box of all crazy things.
Anytime they use the C word, that's scary, you know. And you know, we just hope for the best. Dad's always been a very upbeat person, and when they told him what took place and everything, you know, we'll make the best of it. We'll make it work somehow.
I never, on any of the other problems that I've ever had, thought that, you know, that it might be the end, you know. And my golly, this son of a gun, I never thought that for the first time. But my golly, you'd wake up every morning, you know, and you would think, could be. I sat and I thought, and Stella was with me, you know, hard on her. It was hard on her.
And they just went in, they did the radiation treatments, takes 6 weeks, and then takes about that much to recover from it. And that's what he went through the first year and everything. And so far, everything thus far looks good. All the doctors say everything's healed up and he's doing good right now. So he kind of got spoiled right off the get-go because he won most everything he fished. And he made the Classic first year he went out. First year that he fished the whole circuit. You know, he qualified for the Classic right off the get-go. So
I was a sorry-looking mess there for a while, that's for sure. But I'm back now. I feel great.
Being an honest person, you know, goes a long ways, and that's what he is.
how great it is to have Guido back for this tournament, a sight fishing tournament. And truth be known, Guido was not that far from making the top 10 here.
Smallmouth. Look at that one, pretty one. Smallmouth. That's for Jerry right there.
There you go, Mr. McInnes.
How about
Enjoy.
that, Sanders? No one catches a fish personally for you.
No, not even near it.
I think Tom knows how much you and I both love catching smallmouth bass, and that is a nice one, and quite a little bonus for the catch that Tom Mann's got going.
Easy.
He's on his way.
Hey, I tell you what, he's right in there.
That one helped. First time I threw it in there, swam 10 feet out with it, but I was sitting there looking, trying to look for my tube, and all of a sudden I see the fish come out here and spit my tube out. I didn't even know he had it. Oh.
Man, I tell you, I feel a lot better that I've got my limit. I really wish it had came a lot earlier this morning. I'm gonna go spend about an hour and a half in some new water down south. And, you know, hopefully something good will happen. If it doesn't, I still have got one about 3.5 on the bed, and another one about close to 2. And I'll go sit the rest of the tournament and try to catch those fish. You never know in this game. It could take anywhere from 10 to 14 pounds to win today. You just don't know. But I'm not going to take anything for granted. I'm going to catch all I can catch today.
Welcome back to the $1 million Walmart Open. There's your leaderboard right there. Tom Mann Jr. in the lead with 9 pounds, but Gary Klein, Carl Swiebeck, and Rick Klun right behind him. And Rick Klun and all that traffic out there just moving along the bank. Tell us again, Rick, why you're in that area, why you're fishing that particular style.
Basically, I'm fishing an area what I call a compressed zone. It basically means that down the lake, around the dam, the fish can be in the 1 to 20 foot zone right now, you know, doing a multitude of things, pre-spawn, spawn, especially with 4 species like spotted bass, largemouth, and smallmouth. So, but I've chosen to fish murky water, and that compressed zone's only 1 to 5 foot. So you got all those fish now sitting in a much smaller zone, so it's a lot easier for me to keep my bait where a lot of fish are.
I understand.
Well, Rick, how much different is the watercolor where you're at compared to the dam? If it's a 10 down at the dam, what would you compare your water to?
Well, I would say on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's about a 3.
Really?
Yeah.
And you are absolutely and you know this is no big secret. You're absolutely the only guy that is throwing crankbaits. Most everybody's chasing fish on beds.
Well, Jerry, when I started fishing kind of back the same time you did, we didn't even think we could catch them off beds, and so I didn't spend a whole lot of time learning how to do it. And it's really been kind of a latter-day innovation, and guys have developed the techniques, and I've just been slow to you know, embrace those things.
Yeah, I understand it. Hey, Rick, you know, I'd like to ask you one more question, and then we'll kind of get out of your way here. Is it hard sometimes for you, or anybody for that matter, to grasp the idea that you are fishing against the fish and not the other competitors?
Well, it sure makes it easier if you do that, because then your focus and your mind's in the right direction. If you start worrying about, you know, what Gary Klein's doing down the lake, and you know, all the 6 and 7 pounders they said they see swimming around down there, or you know, you worry about, you know, somebody throwing a wacky worm, you're just brains in the wrong place. And I think it's just more enjoyable too if you just concentrate on fishing. That's why we got into the sport of fishing, is to fish and not worry about external distractions.
Well, go ahead. And of course, Rick, you're probably the best at focusing, but I guess you have to work at it to not listen to the clear water talk and the bedding talk and all. It's kind of tough to focus, isn't it?
Yeah, you pretty well, you know, I know I get kind of labeled as being non-sociable, but you kind of have to isolate yourself. Or it can be overwhelming. I don't care how strong a man you are.
All right. Well, Rick, we'll let you fish on, and we'll see you at the weigh-in. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this fish is going to be catchable.
Yeah, he's hit. I'm gonna throw that wacky worm in there and catch him with that exposed hook. I don't want to lose this fish. You're hitting it every time. I don't know if it's gonna keep. Yeah, it's a keeper spot. Oh, dang. Whew. That'll help.
Female's back up there. I wish I could get her to bite it. She's a solid 4-pounder. I don't know who's the most stubborn, me or him.
That'll help. That'll help. Come on, baby. Yes, sir. Man, if I can catch that big one, I'll have a chance. He's definitely 15. Okay, be patient, Carl. Be patient.
Got him. Finally bit it. Finally bit it, did you, boy? Oh, thank you, Lord. Woo! Well, I worked on this fish 45 minutes yesterday, 45 minutes this morning, and then I finally caught him. Oh, thank you. That'll help a lot right there.
Welcome back. There are the beautiful limestone bluffs here on Beaver Lake in northwest Arkansas. The Forest Wood Open is going on. There's your scoreboard. Tom Manow upgraded to 10 pounds. Carl Swebeck right behind him with 9. Clun, Klein, they're all right in there. And Dan Moorhead, we'll hear from him at weigh-in time. Go from this beautiful shot to a shot of Rick Clun there fishing. It looks like the same thing again and again because he's doing the same thing.
Hey, and he is a long way away from that beautiful bluffy water you were looking at the other end of the lake. And he is fishing a crankbait, fishing a DB1 or DB2 chartreuse Bagley crankbait. And boy, he is relentless with it. He has not changed colors. He has not changed styles. He's going, again, parallel down the bank. And man, here's one that is going to change the situation, I believe.
That's a good one there. You can go ahead and amend the scoreboard that you just saw.
Work's over. Now it's time to have fun.
No.
Middle time yet.
No. It is time to have fun, though. But the work's not over either.
You got that limit. You got to do real good. Great.
Kind of in shock. I've never seen Rick Clun react to a fish that strongly before.
Hey, listen, make no bones about it. Rick Clun is a competitor, boy. He is a tough, tough competitor.
I tell you, trying to do that net put some crimps in your body.
I may have really made a big mistake today. I saw this fish this morning and didn't think there was any way I was going to be able to catch her. I came in, caught one right next to her, and golly, this fish is catchable. But in no way I can do it in 10 minutes. This fish is very catchable. Only thing I know to do is just try to make her mad quick. Bump her a few times. This fish right here can make the difference in in winning the tournament and not. You know, I've got 5 decent fish, but I need this one. This will be the one that oh, come on, baby. Oh my goodness, she's circling around. Pretty nice one, isn't it? Guy screwed up, man. And we're fixing to have to go.
Just what you were talking about earlier, looking at that fish, and you got to go.
You've got to go. And I hope our viewer can see that fish. You can see the bright spot where the nest is at. And there's a little dark spot that moves in. It's sitting right over it right now.
Yeah,
His bait, wow, his bait almost hit, and now the fish is actually moving towards the bait, off the bed, kind of is turned around, kind of moved under that log bar. Carl, very emotional right now.
Up against it.
Man, you know, we're sitting here and we're looking at 100,000, 200,000, and I just really made some wrong decisions. We got to go. Again, I tell you what, one of them kind of deals where you really wish you wouldn't see a fish like that. It'll almost make you cry. I almost had her to bite. I had her nose down to it. I was making her mad. It's a bad decision on my part. But you can bet that I'll learn from this, and hopefully if ever put in that situation again, well, you know, it could have gone either way. But we got to get into the marina. I'm right behind you.
11 ounces for you, Carl, who is
Well, we're picking up the weigh-in just after Gary Klein has been eliminated, and Carl Sweebeck is weighing in his third fish now.
7 ounces.
Another good sharp fish there. Kentucky spotted bass. Coming out of that Land O'Lakes Ranger. It needs how much, Tommy?
We need 3 pounds, 11 ounces, Charlie.
That won't do it. That fish right there is 2-3, so we're going to have another one. Another good solid keeper there.
Right.
2 fish now. We'll wait for Carl. 2 fish, both these alive. Check the weight here very closely. 310.
310, unbelievable. Carl,
We need one more.
We need one more. Carl's weighed in 4 so far.
There is number 5, and that will put him in the lead. 3 fish here, all alive, total weight, 4 pounds, 14 ounces.
414. Let's hear it for Carl Sweebeck. Wonderful limit right there. Carl is still in there, and Rick Clunn, 2 pounds, 8 ounces. Rick, 2.8. Looking for 2.8, 2.5 pounds, Rick, to stay in the game. Rick has weighed in 3 already.
2.5 put him in the lead, knock Carl out of the event.
Right. Wow.
That might do it. Let's check the weight. Again, these fish are in great shape.
Wow.
This fish weighs 2.5. Again,
2.5,
very
so
close. He's going after another one.
This will do it. Put him in the lead.
Wow.
Wow. Let's get the folks from back home to get a good look at that one. What a fish.
What a nice way to finish out your limit. 2 fish now, both alive, 6 pounds, 13 ounces, 613.
Your new leader is Rick Clunn. Rick, have a seat. Let's bring Carl up here. Carl Sweebeck. Let's give a big hand for Carl. What a guy. All week long, he's a guy who makes more friends every day than he catches fish, but boy, you've caught a lot of fish this week, Carl.
Oh, I had a great time. I tell you what, just reminiscing about last year, to relive this again has just been just incredible. I can't hardly put in words. The people throughout this community, the beautiful lake, there's not a morning that I don't get up that I don't appreciate being on Beaver Lake.
Wonderful, Carl. Great week. Good job again. 2 guys left. Rick Clunn, the leader, 13 pounds, 1 ounce. He's weighed in a limit. Tom Mann Jr. has weighed in 4 fish. 1 more fish left for Tom Mann Jr., and it's going to have to be a good one, Tom. 5 pounds, 11 ounces to win the shootout portion of this weigh-in and face Dan Morgan.
It's a beautiful fish.
Ooh, that's a good one.
But not going to quite do it, is it, Tom?
No, that's not going to do it, Charlie.
It's going to be a beautiful fish, though. This fish weighs 2 pounds, 13 ounces, 213.
213. So, a hand for the winner of this portion of our weigh-in and a big hand for Tom Mann Jr. I know it's tough. You come out to win, but you can't have too many complaints about this week, Tom.
No, I'll tell you, I put it in perspective for you as far as myself goes. You fishing for $200,000. You're chasing a little green fish for $200,000. Now, am I proud to be an American? Yes, I am.
Yes, so. That says it all. All right. Rick Clunn, Ava, Missouri, our winner in the shootout competition. We don't know. We just don't know what happened with Dan Moorhead out there today, but we're going to put these guys head-to-head. Dan is going to weigh his fish. One of these two fellas going to win $200,000, and we're going to do it right when we come back from these messages. Stay tuned. It's the Walmart FLW Tours Walmart Open, brought to you by Poulan. The name means quality. By ShopVac, the only thing more powerful is our name. By EverStart Batteries, more power for your money. And by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Rick Clunn has led the way through this week. Incredible stringers of fish, one of his best today when it counts so much. 13 pounds, 1 ounce. Rick, come on up here, we'll all get close. And watch, as we bring up the man who's been a little bit isolated today, Dan Moorhead from Paducah, Kentucky. Dan's going to bring them all up. We're going to see them one by one over there by Charlie, Dan. And we're just going to weigh them in right now. It's got to be 13 pounds, 2 ounces to win the chain.
13-1, Rick has. Got to get to 13-2, and we'll just see what happens.
5 fish limit is what we're looking for. Take a deep breath, and here we go.
There's one small Kentucky. That fish weighs, one fish now weighs pound 3. Okay, now we're going for a number. Better fish here.
Oh, I'd like to catch that fish. I can see it from here. You talk about brilliant colors.
Well, Danny's not doing anything that most of our other anglers were not doing. That's sight fishing, and we had a lot of spectators out there today. Danny was not without his own spectator. Looked like he is flipping a little tube on the beds and catching small spots at the moment.
Another Kentucky. That's 2 fish. We'll stop right there and check that weight. For 2 fish, we're up to 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Ready for number 3. Another small keeper there. 3 fish. Stop at 3. We're at 3:15. You're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. Ready for number 4? That looks better.
All right, shaping up.
A lot better fish in number 4. Hold right
Moorhead.
there. 4 fish. We're at 6 pounds and 2 ounces, so we need a 7-pounder. Is that
We
right?
do. We've
We need a
seen one this
7-pounder?
week.
It can happen.
It can happen.
We had a 7.5 this week.
7.5 this week.
I don't know for sure, but I believe Danny Moorhead is not on an 8-pound bass right here. He's fishing for small spots. He is not going to make it. Our ex-man didn't come away with any surprises for us today.
Nope, not this time. He has a 5 bass limit, though. 5 fish, all alive here. Total weight, 7 pounds, 10 ounces.
Let's hear it for the champion of the Walmart Open, Rick Clunn from Ava, Missouri. Winning ways that have lasted through the years. Rick, it's just unbelievable. Just another storybook thing. 3 years ago in Jackson, Mississippi, you came off Ross Barnett, one of our first tournaments for $100,000. Just a flawless performance. You might not have called it flawless, but it was. How close was this performance to being flawless this week?
It was about as flawless as I can fish at this stage. My mental approach was flawless. My execution, mechanical execution was flawless. My decision making was
Let's take a moment and introduce Melissa and Sage here.
This is Melissa, and this is Sage O'Ryan. I fished too many circuits, and I've been in the sun too long. But I called home last night, and my daughters hadn't got on the internet and got anything yet. And they said, Dad, we're going to be at Walmart tomorrow. We're going to be at Walmart tomorrow. And I know how nervous they get and emotional they get, and I wish I could see them at this moment.
All right, I know you're looking forward to talking to them, and everyone is looking forward to hearing you talk about your fishing this week, the approach you took, and how it paid off so wonderfully.
Well, this time of year with the lake low, it really kind of played into my hands. I basically utilized kind of a fall pattern, but if you fish down the lake, what you have a lot of fish down the lake, but you got a big zone they can be in. You got 1 to 30 feet that they can be in, and so I try to compress that zone whenever I can. And the only way you can do that is by running up the river, and all the fish that are up the river are in a 1 to 5 foot zone. So my bait, if I keep my bait in 1 to 5 foot, then I'm going to be much more likely to catch the key fish I need to catch. So I have a much smaller area to look for the fish in.
No doubt about the Fuji flashback today. Ricky Clunn puts the winning fish in the boat.
No.
Rick, I know all of us, we know that there seem to be fewer wild places physically to go and enjoy each and every year, but there's no limit to the potential and how much each one of us can enjoy the places that are left. And we sort of look to you sometimes for some words of wisdom, what to look for, how to take advantage of that.
Well, in the White River, there's no doubt one of the last remaining wilderness in the middle part of the country, the Ozarks, the White River chain, and it's very, sacred to me. It's why, Melissa and I moved back to this part of the country. And I think we just have to really realize that when the wilderness out there is gone, the wilderness inside all of us will be gone. So I don't want that to happen for him.
On behalf of all the sponsors and partners in the FLW, Operation Bass, and Walmart stores all over the country, congratulations, sir.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of Go Network, go.com.